What up YouTube, it's your boy Double M. I'm coming back at you with another tutorial, but something different. You see, in my previous tutorials, we were learning how to draw the head, the eyes, nose, mouth, ears, everything regarding the head. Now for the next set of tutorials, we're gonna learn how to draw the body, the human body. And to start off with that set, we're gonna learn how to construct the male body. Remember, when you're drawing something, you want to have its general shape in mind, then draw over that general shape. I especially talk about general shapes in these two videos. Matter of fact, here's the link on watch them both. You first need to watch these before you watch the tutorial, unfortunately. The body has body parts, wait, that has these general shapes. But we cannot draw these body parts without the skeleton. Hey, when I said we're gonna learn that part about the skeleton, I didn't actually mean we're gonna learn how to draw the skeleton first to the fine detail. No. If you think about it, no one actually does that. First they draw the skeleton, then draw the body. No. That's gonna be a lot of time wasting and pencil erasing. What I am gonna show you later is how to draw something similar that serves the same purpose. That's only going to be later in the video. Now let's go and focus on the body parts that would be on the human body. Correction, that are on the human body. So the first body part we're going to cover is the head. With the past tutorials, you already know how to draw these general shapes that would be inside the head. So we already have that part down. The next body part is the neck, which is basically a cylinder that just comes down from the head up till the collarbone area. If you look at the drawing, you can sort of see that the neck is too long, even for me. But what I'm gonna add next is what makes the neck look appropriately sized, or look the way it's supposed to look, not too long like it is now. If you look at the human back, there are these muscles that come from the side of the neck down to the shoulder called trapezius muscles. Is that right? Or I just call them traps for short. Everybody has these muscles. It's just that when they are big and when they're really defined, it's only like buff monkeys that have these muscles. You check what I'm saying? So that's the muscle that makes the neck look appropriately sized. For that, I would just draw like a triangle like this, stopping at the collarbone area. Now we actually come to the actual body of the body, where you land those body shots. We have the thorax and the abdomen, basically the ribcage area and the stomach region. For the thorax or the ribcage, I basically draw like a rectangular prism shape like this. It's also important to notice that curve at the bottom of the ribcage right here. It's gonna help us draw the abdomen, which is also divided into two parts. The first part is what I call the core, which is basically a circular ovalish shape that comes from that bend at the bottom of the ribcage. Then the second part is the rest of the abdomen, which is basically a rectangular prism like the thorax, but just a bit smaller. Let me explain to you the function of why I draw that circular shape for the core. Because if you think about it, it's not really necessary. But once you understand why I use it, I think you'll also start using it. Because I recently found it. Found the tip online. Let's call it the core for now. First reason why I use it, it helps me identify where the stomach is going to be and more on where the abs are going to be if I'm drawing like a buff character. And the other reason, it helps me find out where the groin is going to sit if I draw two lines coming from the angle like this, coming from the sides like this. Now is to cover the limbs. But before I go to the limbs, I usually have these like circular shapes on the side of the thorax at the top for the shoulders. Then is when you would go over the limbs with these cylindric shapes. But there's something different about the cylindric shapes that you would use for the calves and the forearms than the ones you would use for the thighs and the upper arm. Hold on, just wait, let me explain. For example, the forearm. When you're starting out that forearm shape from the elbow, it first goes out a bit and then tapers back in to make that thin cylindric shape. Same for the calf. It first coming from the knee, it first goes out, then tapers back in. For now, to keep things simple, we're just going to use boxes for the palms and triangles to group the fingers and for the feet. And those should be the general shapes used to draw the body parts on the human body. But let me show you how a male body differs. So now I'm going to explain to you with this pic. I'm going to explain to you the differences that make the male body, what makes it different from the female body or the normal body. Usually, males have more muscle or muscle definition. Usually, not all the time, usually. So because of this, men usually have body parts which are slightly thicker than female body. And because of that, the neck, which is part of these body parts, will be slightly thicker, almost in line with the ear. And the traps will be just a bit bigger than usual. The traps being bigger push the shoulders further away from each other, which makes the male have wider shoulders. Let me tell you something about the thorax though. Because of the traps that are being bigger and wider, the thorax first starts wide at the top, then slowly tapers down as you go down the thorax. This is what gives most men that V shape. Now for the abdomen, that one doesn't taper at all, it just stays the same. It's generally just a bit smaller than the thorax. Other than that, it just stays the same. Just know this time for the limbs, they're going to be thicker as well. Also taking to mind that tip I said about drawing the forearms and the calves, just draw them a bit thicker this time. And one thing I forgot to say before, the thing about the thighs is they also have their own taper. It's just the thing about them is they taper all the way going down, like the thorax would in a male, but ever so slightly, almost to the point where you can't see it, but you can see it, you know? Hey, have you always wanted a physical copy of one of the outfit redraws?
Nope.
No. What do you mean no? Because I don't understand what you're trying to say. My friend, you have. Well, now you can. I am now selling copies of my outfit redraws as posters. Obviously, prices will vary. You can put it anywhere. Up in your room, your parents' office, your teacher's classroom, anywhere. Go on and get a copy of your favorite outfit redraw. More details on my Instagram. Hit me up. Oh, and PS. Only selling to those in window. Sorry. This is where you get your pencil and your paper with that eraser, because now I'm going to show you how to draw the male body. Just a simple front view. Keep things simple for now. In the future, I'll have tutorials covering different angles, different sizes and whatnot. But for now, let's keep it simple with a simple front view. The thing I said I will show you how to draw that serves the same purpose as the skeleton would in the body. I also call it the skeleton, but making it what makes it different from that actual skeleton. This one is much simpler version to know where the body parts sit. What I want you to do is draw a line coming down like this for the neck and a line going across like this. That line going across should be how wide you want the thorax to be at the top. That's basically the collarbone area. That's how, not to repeat myself, but that's how wide you want the top of the thorax to be. I added those circles to roughly plot the shoulders. What you have to do next is draw a longer line coming down for the spine and a similar line going across like that, but this time it should be how long you want the bottom of the abdomen to be. Remember, we're drawing the male body, so you want the bottom of the abdomen to just be a little bit smaller than the top of the thorax, since the thorax is tapering down as you go down on the male body. Before I actually sketch out the legs, here's a tip for them. You see the distance, the length from the top of the head to the bottom of the abdomen. That should be roughly the length of an actual leg. So when you're drawing these legs, you want to get that distance, throw it down underneath the abdomen, mark it down there so you know where the feet are going to be. Take that distance, divide it in two, that's where the knees are going to be. Then after that, you draw the lines with the knees being circles and the feet being triangles. Remember, this is just the rough skeleton, skeleton sketch. So we don't want to put that much detail yet. We still have to put the actual rough shapes and then we go to the detail. So chill. Roughly do the same for the arms. Now with the wrists being just underneath the abdomen, just underneath the pelvis. Now that we have our skeleton, we can throw on the rough shapes for the various body parts. Let's first lightly erase that. Then we'll throw on the cylinder for the neck and the triangle for the traps. After that, let's have our weirdly shaped rectangular shape for the thorax. Now, here's a tip that I sort of forgot to explain before. You want the bottom of the thorax to sort of end at the midpoint of the spine, or just underneath the midpoint of the spine. Don't forget, this is a male body, so if you want to, since not all male bodies have this, draw that rectangular shape for the thorax, tapering down. Majority of males have this shape, not all, majority, so you should keep this to mind. Then after that, draw your oval for the core and another rectangular shape for the abdomen. For the core, you want a third of the core to be covering the bottom of the thorax and 2/3 of the core to be covering the top of the abdomen. This core is basically an oval. So when I say core, in your mind you should be thinking oval and core.
What?
With the core, you should use those lines coming down from the side to separate the groin from the leg joints to draw those cylinders for the legs. I know some of you guys saw it, but to those who didn't see it, I actually erased and redrew the legs of the skeleton a little bit closer so that the legs would be the appropriate distance from each other. Now for the arms. Wait, before we do the arms, first draw these shapes for the shoulders. Now you draw the shoulders. Okay, now for the arms. Let me explain something before we draw the arms. Usually with the human body, the elbow sits, if the arm was put up against the body, the elbow sits just underneath the thorax, just underneath the rib cage. So when you're drawing the cylinder for the upper arm, you want to get that distance from the top of the thorax to just underneath the thorax. Use that distance for the upper arm. Then copy that, then use the same distance for the forearm. You should get your appropriate length of the arm that way. Then after that, we simply use boxes and triangles for the hands and the feet. Lightly erase the general shapes, then go over these general shapes, drawing your male body. And like that, we have come to the end of the tutorial. Don't forget, make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to share this video with others who also want to learn how to draw the human body, learn how to draw the male body, or at least want to get a different perspective on drawing the male body, because it's not like my video is the #1 video. You know what I'm saying? In the next tutorial, we're going to be doing the same thing, but with the female body this time. So make sure you hit the subscribe button to be notified, and make sure you hit that bell as well to be properly notified. Think about it, as a member of the Double Empire, you properly get notified of these videos and get the effects of these videos. Other people are just getting the effects, they're not getting notified, so they might get the effects later. So I suggest you hit that subscribe button, become a member of the Double Empire. Hey yo, and while you're at it, make sure to check out my other videos as well, my tutorials, my challenges, especially my latest video, the one before this, the previous video. You should especially check that one out. Make sure to also check out my art, my actual art, on my IG and my Twitter. Make sure to follow my Twitter. It's kind of lacking now. God bless, and until next time, Double M out.